If you're a successful, driven man who wants to save his marriage, this is going to be the most important video you ever watch. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I've helped over 100 of my clients rebuild their marriages from the inside out, okay? I'm going to show you how I've helped them rebuild their problematic, sexless, dull marriages and transform them into peaceful, loving, and happy marriages, okay? So if she said things like, I can't stand you, I can't do this anymore, I cheated on you, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, I want to separate, I need some space to figure things out, or even I want a divorce, okay? I want you to know that it's not about any of these things here. It's not about working on the relationship, working on yourself, giving her space, showing her you care, avoiding conflict. I'm going to show you in this video exactly what it actually is about, how to actually do this, and how to do it properly without manipulation, without tricks. And you're going to see in this video, there's 3 parts to this. So there's your transformation, who you need to become in order to start leading your marriage again, to become the man your marriage needs. There's going to be the stages of the relationship, like what she's going to need to go through, what you're going to need to go through every step of the way, creating space, restoring trust, reigniting desire. And then there's the program. There's how we help you actually do this and enact this into your life, okay? So just a little bit about me. My name's Justin. Here's my beautiful wife, Emily. The reason I do this work is because she's the most important thing to me in my life. The most important thing to me, my purpose on this planet is to be the best man, husband, and father that I can be. That's what I care about. That's what I like. That's what I spend every single day trying to do. And so I've had my trials and tribulations. I'm not a perfect man, but what I aspire to be is the best husband that I can be. And that's why I do the work that I do with the clients that I do. Okay. So yeah, this is my lovely wife, Emily. We've traveled the world together. Here's us in front of a waterfall in Bali. Super cool, super great. Another thing I want to mention real quick, these are my parents. They're high school sweethearts. They started dating. They met at like 14. They started dating at 16. I've never seen them argue once. They really have shown me what it means to have a fulfilling, meaningful relationship. So that's a little bit about me. Now for you, this is for you if you're ready to take immediate action to do whatever you can to save your family and become the man that you know you can become, okay? This is for you if you know that if you want to save your family, it's up to you. And if you know that you need to step up and take the lead to become the best man that you can be, regardless of the outcome of the marriage, okay? This is not for you if you just want to pass all the blame onto your wife, regardless of how she contributes to the issues. I know she's not perfect. I know she's contributed to this. We can't focus on that right now. And the worst thing you can do for yourself is to just blame your wife, okay? So you're looking for, it's also not for you if you're looking for tips, tricks, or tactics to manipulate your wife to come back to the marriage. Like I said before, I'm going to help you transform. I don't want to manipulate your wife back. I want her to come back to the marriage so you guys can have a top 1% marriage, okay? That's the only way to really go about this. Anybody that tells you something different is completely lying to you. So a little bit about me, just so I'm going to show you the Empowered Husband method. And as you can see here, we have a pyramid, which you've probably never seen before. We're the only ones that do this. I'm going to help you transform every single aspect of yourself. There are 5 different levels to transformation. This is from NLP. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about myself so you know how I came up with this method and how this all came to be, okay? So I was born way up here in northern Canada, a little town called Timmins, 8 hours north of Toronto, okay? At the age of 12, my parents told me, hey man, if you want to be, well, they didn't say hey man, but they told me if you want to be successful, you're going to have to like work and put yourself through school. So at 12, I got the largest paper route in my city, and I've been working ever since. Put myself through school, became an engineer. Here's me showing off the pinky ring. In Canada, as an engineer, you get a pinky ring. Didn't really like that. Did that for about 6 months. Was too stressed, unfulfilled. Just wasn't loving my life. So I decided to become a diamond driller, where you work in extremely remote locations, 28 days in a row, 12 hours a day. You're either working days or nights, basically living in tents in the middle of nowhere. Diamond drilling is the most comparable kind of career is working on oil rigs. So essentially, diamond drilling is exploration. So if we believe there's gold or uranium or silver or anything like that, they'll send diamond drillers out there to go search. Did that for a year and a half. Was insanely lonely. Yeah, I cried myself to sleep the last 3 nights of my last hitch. So just a very lonely job. I made great money. Once again, like both of these are great careers. You make good money. This, I was super stressed out. Wasn't loving my life. This, I was super lonely. Wasn't loving my life. So I said, hey, let me get a career that's like a perfect balance, life balance. So I went to New Zealand and got my teacher's degree. Okay. I did that for 3 years, taught for 3 years. Then I was like, hey, you know what? My soul's kind of like dying here. I'm comfortable. My fire is gone. So once again, I switched and I became a coach. I became a life coach. I helped guys, stop self-sabotaging. I helped them create better habits, patterns, and just kind of level up. I saw success pretty quickly. Was invited on podcasts, and here's my first client, Garrett. I'm showing you Garrett's image here because if you're a high performer, if you're successful, if you've achieved some type of success in your business or career, I want you to know that I've been working with your archetype, we can say, since the very beginning. Okay, so Garrett came to me. He was starting his keynote speaking career. Very successful guy. He now has spoken at Coca-Cola. He's spoken all around the world, Hong Kong. So the big thing I helped Garrett do is have more clarity, have more consistency, stop the self-sabotaging behaviors that were holding him back. So I'm showing you this because the main thing is guys used to come to me, high performers, very high performers used to come to me to help them stop self-sabotaging, whether that's in business, whether that's in their marriage. And what I started seeing is that a lot of guys were coming to me for marriage stuff. Okay. The biggest thing for men is once you've achieved financial freedom or financial success in some regard, let's say you make over $100,000, you feel like that area of your life is good. A lot of guys get complacent. A lot of guys self-sabotage in their marriages. And to me, the most fulfilling thing, the most meaningful thing in life is to have a very deep relationship with your spouse. So that's what I specialize in now. And that's what I became obsessed with. And that's how this was born. Okay, that's how the Empowered Husband was created. So let's talk about it. There are 3 different pillars here to the Empowered Husband. Let's talk about number 1. And like I said, my goal for this video is to show you exactly what needs to happen for you to save your marriage. I'm not going to mince my words. I'm not going to sell you any BS. I'm literally going to tell you this is what needs to happen. This is who you need to become in order for your marriage to go from drift to desire. Okay? So the transformation. A man can only rise as high as the lowest level he's mastered on this pyramid. I want you to remember that. That's very important. So we have these 5 different levels. And so let's start with environment, okay? So the environment is where and when you act, okay? So it's like the environment you create. It's essentially the emotional climate of your home, okay? So for your wife, your presence either calms her nervous system or triggers it. Essentially, there's no neutral. So here's what you set. You set safety versus tension, openness versus guardedness, warmth versus coldness, connection versus distance, trust versus suspicion. You don't control her feelings, you control the conditions. Okay, very important. You don't control her feelings, you do control the conditions. So this is the environment we want to create, obviously, right? This is, if you want to improve your marriage, this is probably what you're trying to do. You're trying to make your wife feel safe, heard, valued, desired, supported, loved, appreciated, all these things. Okay. We want to create an environment where being around you regulates her, right? So her defenses drop and connection comes back naturally. A weak environment. She feels on edge, unseen, unappreciated, alone, triggered, all these things. I also want you to know that I put kids here because this is very important. Your home trains their nervous system as well. So if your house is very chaotic, your kids are going to grow up to be more insecure. If it's very calm, they're going to have that confidence within them. Okay? That responsibility is absolutely yours. The good thing about being a man is you get to set the tone of your house. You set the emotional climate. You are the leader. And I'm going to show you what that means to be the leader in your marriage, in your relationship, because a lot of guys say that, but they don't really explain to you what that actually means. How do you do that? Another point here is women versus men. If you can change her mood, you can change her mind. That's something that's very important about women compared to men. As men, you and I, if you were to tell me, hey, Justin, I don't want to be your friend anymore, I would take that at face value and I'd say, all right, sounds good. We're no longer friends, right? Women are different. That's very logical. You and I are, the masculine is more focused on the logical. Women are more emotional. So if she says, hey, I hate you, I never want to see you again, don't take that as face value, right? That's how she's expressing how she feels in the moment. So if you can change her mood, you can change her mind, okay? Very important because women feel. And that's the beautiful thing of women, right? They're more emotionally attuned than we are. All right, so we know we want to create an environment where she feels safe, heard, valued, desired, supported. So what do most guys do? They look one level above. They go, okay, I want to create that environment. I want my wife to feel all these things, so I'm going to change my behavior. Okay? This is what the average man does. He goes, okay, I need to change my behavior. This is what I do. What I do will impact the environment I create. So the average man goes into apology mode, where they're over apologizing, writing long texts, saying sorry, taking blame for everything, begging for forgiveness. They go into romance mode, where they're buying flowers, planning date nights, booking trips, buying gifts, trying to recreate the good old days. They're chasing, so they're constantly texting, asking if she's okay, asking if she still loves you, super needy, trying to talk things out every day. They go into overcompensating mode, where they're bending over backwards, doing all the chores, being overly helpful, saying yes to everything, trying to be perfect, putting her needs above everything. They go into self-improvement mode, where they're hitting the gym, you're changing your look, you're watching relationship videos, reading books. And the truth is 90% of men get stuck here and fail. They get stuck in the behavior mode, okay? They're just trying to change their behaviors. And here's why they fail. Because there are a couple main reasons. One of the main ones is that the same behavior produces different results depending on the emotional climate. Here's what I mean. Affection when she's open means connection. Affection when she's guarded is suffocation. Okay, so you can change your behavior, but different behavior are going to hit differently depending on where the relationship is at. So that's why, my friends, we need to make sure we understand where we're at in the relationship. And we're going to show you that later. Okay, because you can't be just doing things all willy-nilly here. Another thing is behavior without the right skills equals useless, and behavior without inner transformation is temporary. Okay, so I'm kind of foreshadowing here, but you can't just be focusing on the behaviors. Okay, signs this level is weak. Lots of effort, no results. She thinks your actions are manipulation. You burn out or resent her. Nothing sticks under pressure. Okay? If you just focus on behaviors, that's what's going to happen. So what does the empowered husband do? Well, instead of only focusing on his wife, only trying to kind of fix the marriage when the marriage starts to get turbulent, what we're going to do is we're going to build daily and weekly habits for health, wealth, and relationships. Okay? We're going to increase, number one, increase your capacity to produce as a man. So odds are you're watching this video, you are successful in your career, in your business. You have responsibility, you have pressure to perform, okay? You probably also have kids. I've had clients that have families of 6 that are insanely busy. The first thing we have to do is increase your capacity to produce as a man. What I mean by that is you need to be able to start getting more done in less time, okay? If you can do that, you start to open yourself up for other things, okay? Instead of always being busy, always kind of being on that hamster wheel, we got to make sure that you know how to produce at a higher clip. So that's number one, because when we do that, we open your calendar up a little bit and you can actually start to do the work that is required for your marriage. Because if you don't do that, you'll never have the time, you'll never have the work, you'll always just be burnt out chasing your tail. Number 2 is consistency, right? Actions are predictable over time, not one-time efforts. Another thing we're going to focus on when it comes to your behavior is decisiveness. You make the call and you own the outcome. Reliability, she can count on you without checking up on you. Follow through, you finish what you start. Initiative, you move first instead of waiting for her. Very important here, you are your habits. Okay? We want to make sure that you have the habits that align with the man you want to become, the identity you want to have. So that's what we're focused on. Notice here how this gives you space to breathe. Instead of being in this mode like the average man, this is exhausting. It's stressful. You're going to be anxious. It's just also doesn't create a very good, it puts her on a pedestal, right? So it creates this weird dynamic within the relationship, within the marriage, where it's hard for her to see you and be attracted to you and want to pursue you and want to kind of lean back in. However, if you start doing these things, you start focusing on the behaviors of an empowered husband, it creates curiosity in her. And one of the biggest things with my clients is we want to create uncertainty. We want to create uncertainty in her certainty of who you are, okay? We want to create uncertainty in her certainty. Right now, she's certain that you're no longer the man for her, that you're never going to change, that you're lazy, all these things. We want to create uncertainty in that, okay? So curiosity. All right, so we know, obviously, this is not the answer. We're only one level above. So we want to change the environment. Most guys go to behavior. The smarter guys go to skills and competencies, okay? And you're going to see we keep going up this ladder. How you do it. This is behavior is what you do. Skills and competencies is how you do it. Capabilities and strategies. We want to make sure for you to become an empowered husband, you need to have the right skills. Okay. You may have some of these skills. You may have none of these skills. But this is what we need to focus on. So communication, right? Opening her up emotionally. Expressing yourself without getting defensive. Saying hard things calmly. Choosing the right timing to have these deep conversations, asking better questions, knowing when to shut the hell up. Very important for men. Emotional intelligence, reading emotional shifts, not taking things personally, sitting with discomfort, knowing when to give space versus give support, and staying present when emotions rise. These are all skills, guys. Leadership, leading yourself first, setting boundaries calmly. So many guys have a hard time doing this, setting boundaries. Most of them don't set boundaries at all. Even the most successful guys that I see that have great boundaries at work, when it comes to their home life, when it comes to their wife, they just don't know how to do it. And once again, behind every weak man is a woman who walks all over him. If you don't have boundaries, right, you get what you tolerate in your relationships. If you don't have boundaries and your wife is mean to you, is not very nice, you are creating that, okay? That, like, you are 100% absolutely responsible for that. Leadership, we have holding steady under pressure, creating emotional safety, not forcing outcomes. Another skill is conflict management. So being able to de-escalate arguments, staying grounded during tension, repairing after fights, not needing to win, and ending conflict cleanly. A big one, probably the most important one, is emotional regulation, controlling your reactions, pausing before you speak, not exploding or shutting down, and holding your frame. Okay, these are skills. So as we know, we're going to keep moving up the pyramid. Once again, the whole goal here, guys, like I get it. The goal to save your marriage at the end of the day is just this, right? You want to create an environment where she feels these things, so she falls back in love, so she wants to spend time with you, right? She feels these things, you're a winner. But we're going to keep going up because I actually want you to transform. I don't want you to manipulate your wife. So beliefs is why you do what you do, your values and your convictions. So it's not only important to do different things, it's how you do different things, it's why you do different things. So this is essentially your internal world. This is the engine of everything. This level controls your thoughts, your words, your actions, your habits, your values, and then your destiny. Okay, this is one of my favorite quotes by Gandhi. Everything comes from your thoughts, and you have conscious thoughts and you have subconscious thoughts. Okay, when I say conscious, I always point to my brain because you're like consciously thinking of these. You know your conscious thoughts. The subconscious thoughts are there, but they're hidden. You don't know that they're there. Okay, they're just like kind of stored in your body. You have patterns within your marriage that are stored in your body that come from your beliefs, that come from your internal world. Whether you self-sabotage, okay, or not, or you probably do in some regard, those behaviors, those things come from something you went through in your life. Whether that's when you were a kid, whether it was trauma, whether it's a belief, whether it's a fear and insecurity, doubt, whether it's your ego. These are all a part of your internal world. And what we need to be able to do is go in there, evaluate it, remove the things that are causing you harm, and reprogram the things that we want to reprogram. Okay? I talk about it like weeds in a garden. Let's say you had this garden and you started noticing weeds, but you ignored the weeds, right? You told yourself, hey, there are no weeds, there are no weeds, there are no weeds. What happens to the garden? It gets overrun by weeds, okay? So the positive thinking people that say, hey, just look in the mirror and say, like, things are good, things are good, things are good, that doesn't work. We need to look at the deep, dark truth. We need to look within you, and we need to go in and actually pull out the weeds, okay? We need to remove that stuff before we can start to plant new seeds of the things that we want. And the weeds are the fears, the doubts, the insecurities, all those different things. Okay. If this level is broken, you'll constantly fall back into old patterns. Limiting beliefs will hijack your behavior. Her beliefs about you won't change, and you try harder but get nowhere. Very important to understand this. So you have your own pyramid. This is like who you are, your skills, competencies, your behaviors, your beliefs. She also has her pyramid. Okay. So we're going to get very intimate with your transformation, who you need to become. We're also going to look on her side and figure out, hey, what's going on in her world? And so, like, what does she believe about you? Maybe she believes one of these things. Maybe she believes all of them. But this is very important to know. Like I was saying before, you can try to change your behavior. But if you don't know what you're changing, why you're changing, it's not really going to have an impact on her. And let me explain. So if she says, because I had a client, and the reason I'm saying this is because I had a client come to me. He was working with another coach before, and he was like, man, my coach keeps hammering home that I need to be a man of integrity. Like, I'm just really focusing on integrity right now. And I went, wow, that's really interesting, because to me, you are 100% a man of integrity. He was super successful in his career. He was like, had his habits dialed. He was, if he said he was going to do something, he did it. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I've always been that way. And I said, so why is that your focus for your marriage? And what happens is that other coach was giving him advice that works for the average man, right? For the average dude who like doesn't do what he says, he doesn't have integrity, of course you should be doing that. However, if you need to make sure that you're actually targeting the beliefs that she has about you. So if she believes you're controlling, that's what you need to fix. You need to stop being controlling. You need to shift this belief. There are beliefs that we need to shift within her. Okay? That's what's going to change how she shows up in the relationship. That's what's going to make her want to open up, want to come back, right? If she thinks he's lazy, yes, then work on your integrity, 100%. If she thinks you're boring, then we need to work on that. So you and I are going to go through this. We're going to make sure that we actually understand what does she believe about you and why, and what's her justification for that, because there's probably some truth to what she believes. Maybe it's some of these, maybe it's all of these, but now we know what we have to work on. Okay, we don't just work on random stuff to see, like, you don't have time for that. That's really important here. So something else I want to mention, which guys that I work with tend to really love, is that there's a guy named Daniel Goleman who created the influence model. Okay, I want you to remember this. This is super important. Self-awareness leads to self-mastery, leads to relationship awareness, leads to relationship influence. Okay, so here's what I mean by that. Step one of influence, and the reason I'm telling you this is because a lot of guys go, hey man, like, my wife is just going to do what my wife wants to do. How can I influence her? How can I have any impact on her decisions? Well, it's kind of a weird question to ask, because you influence everybody all the time, right? You influence your kids, you influence your coworkers, you influence everybody that you come in contact with. You can influence them in a positive way or a negative way, or you can have a little bit of influence or a lot of influence, but everybody is influential in some way, okay? If you want to actually be a positive influence on your wife's decisions, on your wife's life, step number one is self-awareness. You have to become aware of yourself, of your patterns, of your fears, of your beliefs, of your triggers, of your emotions. Are you, in a conversation, are you starting to feel a little bit anxious? Okay. Once you become very fully aware of yourself, then you have self-mastery, right? You don't get to self-mastery without being aware of yourself. A classic example is like, hey, if I want to start going to the gym and master myself in that way, like an hour a day, I want to start going to the gym, but I have these beliefs and I keep sabotaging after a week where I go, oh, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I don't have enough self-awareness to know what my mind's doing next. So my lack of self-awareness is causing me to stop going to the gym every week or every month or every 3 months. Does that make sense? When you have that level of self-awareness where you know the self-sabotage that's coming and you can anticipate it, and you can push it to the side and continue to move forward, that's when you have self-mastery. Once you have self-mastery, you now have relationship awareness. And how this plays out in conversations is you'll be in a conversation with your wife. Your self-awareness will tell you, hey, I'm getting triggered right now. I need to focus on my breath because I don't want to blow things up, right? You're self-aware. Self-mastery is like actually doing that. Okay, so now you're focusing on your breath. You're listening to her emotions. You're not getting triggered. Now, and only now, do you have relationship awareness. Now you start to notice, oh, she's triggered. She's really not feeling heard right now. She's feeling abandoned. Now you can start to have awareness of her. Once you have that awareness of her, now you can actually have influence. Okay. Now you can help her see these things. You can help kind of coach her through this. And that's what I do as a coach. I help coach you through these things. You can do the same thing with your wife. You should be your wife's coach and she should be your coach. What that means is you guys are both making each other better every single day. That's what a healthy, thriving relationship looks like. All right, so now we're at the top of the pyramid here. Let's talk about identity. And once again, I don't want to work with you if you're just focused on trying to slap a Band-Aid on your issues. Okay, if you just want to learn a couple tricks and a couple behaviors to win your wife back, absolutely go find somebody else. There's so many of those types of coaches online. I want to help you change who you are. I want to help you genuinely transform into the man that she'd be crazy to leave. That's the goal. So your identity is who you believe you are. It's your self-concept. And I want you to remember this. Your marriage mirrors your identity. That's the power you have as a man. Your marriage mirrors your identity. So an empowered husband is a man who leads himself first, who creates emotional safety and direction in his marriage and inspires his wife's respect, trust, and desire without controlling her or needing her validation. Extremely important. The key pillars of the empowered husband identity. You know your values, your boundaries, and mission as a man. No volatility, no unpredictable reactions. You're calm, confident in any situation. Your actions match your words. You take responsibility for your life, relationship, and results. Here's why this is so important, guys. If your identity is weak, your beliefs will be shaky. If your beliefs are shaky, your skills will be inconsistent. If your skills are inconsistent, your behaviors will collapse under pressure, and the emotional environment never changes. Okay? This is why you need to work on every single level. A good example I have here is like a behavior. Let's say I wanted to be a basketball player. I wanted to be a successful basketball guy. And my coach was like, hey, man, if you want to be good at basketball, you need to shoot 1,000 free throws every single day. And I said, deal, I'm going to do it. And I started shooting 1,000 free throws every single day, but all the shots were like granny shots, okay? I just had no skills, no competencies. I didn't have the right form. Is that actually going to help me make it pro? Absolutely not. It's a huge waste of time. So that's why the average guy here that has not watched this video, that hasn't joined me in the program, is wasting their time. The right behavior without the right skill is useless. Okay? So very important to understand that. So then you have the skills and competencies. That's like the coach tells me, hey man, like this is actually how you hold the ball. This is like what you're supposed to do with your feet, all that. Now shoot 1,000 free throws. Way better. But it's also even better if I have the belief that I'm going to be the next Michael Jordan. If I have that belief and the coach has the belief in me, everything's going to be even better. Okay? Where are we at? Identity. So that kind of explains this here. Rebuild the man and the marriage follows. The target of your identity is a man who's purpose-driven, has direction, emotional stability, leadership, integrity, vision, self-respect, all these things. Okay? Now let's focus on the marriage. This is extremely important. I don't understand how this hasn't been broken down yet with these marriage programs that have been around for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. It's not that complicated, but I'll break it down for you in this video, okay? To get anywhere, you're going to need a map. You need to know where you're going, right? It's pretty hard to get to a destination if you have no idea how to get there. And a lot of guys don't even know what the destination looks like. So I'm going to map through and show you every single step of the way, what you're trying to do, the purpose of it, what you should be focusing on, where your wife's going to be at throughout the journey, until you get to the end result, which is creating a top 1% marriage, okay? So very important to know, we combine this with the transformation, okay? So depending on where you're at here, we focus on what we should be focusing on for your transformation. So you're not just doing random stuff. If you're watching this video, your wife, right, her journey is probably started off in negative sentiment, where she's emotionally checked out, she's asked for space, moved out, maybe she's spoken to a lawyer. She avoids all relationship talk. She sees you as the villain in her story. Everything you do feels manipulative to her. She's in full resistance mode. And when she thinks about the marriage, she feels failure and shame. Okay? Nothing you do lands anymore. And no matter what you try, it feels like it's too late for her. So if your wife is in this stage, follow the arrow. You're going to be focusing on stop the bleeding and stabilize the marriage. This is your number one priority. And we're going to do this within the first week. So within the first week together, we're going to go through this stage. So this is from blame to responsibility. Okay? Bullet points here. Stop initiating with your wife. I want you to handle the slap properly. Now, the slap is what we call the moment where she tells you, I don't love you anymore, can't do this, I want to separate, I cheated on you, whatever that may be. We call it the slap because it hurts. Okay? You need to learn how to deal with that as soon as possible. You need to learn how to let out the anger, the hurt, the pain, safely, alone, and not at her. Because what's happening right now, what I see every single time, if you don't do this first, and once again, these are steps and stages, you follow the order. If you don't do this first, it's going to come through in your tone. She's going to feel that sometimes you get frustrated, sometimes you're angry, sometimes you're still bitter, sometimes you hold resentment. It's because that pain has been stored in your body, okay? Man has always had a way, up until the modern man, has always had a way to move these emotions through him, to move the anger and the hurt and the pain. So when we were hunter-gatherers, we still had emotions. Sometimes we would get hurt throughout a hunt, or we would get in an argument with somebody from the tribe. What happened was we had rituals, right? I don't know if it was every night or once a week, but we would have rituals where we would dance around a fire. Maybe we would wrestle, we would fight, we would chant, we would yell. We would let these emotions come through us. Emotions are energy in motion. What has happened to the modern man is very sad because what he does, he has no tools to process emotions. He doesn't even know how to feel and understand his emotions, so he buries them. He buries them in his body. What happens to most guys that I work with is at this point, your emotions start leaking out sideways because it's too much. It's like overwhelming. So you're just driving home from work and all of a sudden you break down crying. Or your stress or your anxiety levels are just through the roof that you can't even focus or think straight. Now your job is getting affected. So you need to learn how to let these emotions flow through you, because until you do that, they will be creating massive havoc in your life. I've seen guys get divorced, go through this process, never let the hurt out, never let the anger out, the pain out. And 5, 10, 15 years later, they're still angry. They're still bitter. And that pushes people away from you. So don't be that guy. If you join this program, and I'm telling you the steps now, but if you really want to know how to do this specifically and be guided through this process, I can show you that. And just make sure you do this, okay? I'd love to show you. I can also create free videos for you if that's what you need. But find a coach, find somebody that can help you do that, because it's very important. And you can do this within a week. Most guys never do this. The clients that join me do this within a week. Another thing here is gain clarity on what caused the marriage breakdown. Because if you do that, you develop deep empathy for how she has felt over time. Essentially, this is all of this is going to allow you to shift from blaming her to taking full responsibility for your role. Okay? That's step one. Because if you don't do this, nothing else is going to work. Step one, boom. We look, oh my goodness, she's still in negative sentiment. I've done all this work and nothing has changed. My wife is still in negative sentiment. She's still checked out. Normal, that's okay. The cool thing about knowing what comes next is that there's no need to freak out. There's no need to be worried. Nothing's gone wrong. This is what we've expected. Why? Because for her, so far, she's just feeling a little bit of relief. You've just worked on yourself. You're pulling away a little bit. She's not seen much yet, and that's okay. Now, what you're going to be focusing on after you've gone through these steps is creating space plus safety. You're going to reset the dynamic, okay? Insanely important here. You're going to stop judgments and expectations. You're going to root out controlling behaviors. You're going to manage your emotions without leaning on her. You're going to know and keep your boundaries, and you're going to let go of control. I don't care how far along, how bad your marriage is right now. If the divorce papers are filed, wherever you're at, you need to do this. You need to do this because if you don't, you will just continue pushing her away. Okay? If you are always chasing, she has to retreat. You need to be able to take a step back, create space so that she can start leaning in again. Okay? It's just like two magnets. Two magnets of the same charge. You push, she's going to go away. You need to shift. You need to completely change that and create the space for her to actually come back. Okay? I don't care how far along you are. And there's guys that will sell you literally $6,000, $10,000 programs to help you if your marriage is on the brink of divorce. And this is what they're going to tell you. No matter where you're at, this is what you need to focus on. Okay? And I've seen it. I've also had guys that have come to me through these programs. They're like, hey man, like we're experts in helping you save your marriage when it's really far gone. Pays the money, comes to see me. He's like, yeah, the guy told me basically like to do stage 2. I'm like, yeah, of course he did. Like that's what needs to happen regardless. If your wife gives you divorce papers, you can't keep pushing forward. You need to be able to create space. The good thing for you, my friend, is most of the clients that come to work with me, the wife hasn't filed divorce papers yet. Do it before you get to that point, right? Create the space now. Even if you think it's far gone, even if you think she's seeing another man, create the space now. Get this stage over with. Do this first. Once you do that, here's what happens for her. She goes into dual mind narrative, where she's now torn between hope and fear. One day she's warm, the next she's cold. Her emotions are inconsistent. She's going to test you more often. She's going to complain more, which is actually a good sign. She may ask you for help again. She's going to engage in small talk. She sends mixed signals, and she watches you from a distance. Okay? She's leaning back in here. Now, as she's in dual mind narrative, you're going to rebuild the man. Okay? So this is where we do identity work and mind of steel. When it comes to rebuilding the man, you're going to identify your emotional patterns. You're going to rewrite negative narratives. You're going to strengthen your resilience. You're going to regain control over your emotions. You're going to establish consistent habits and practices. You're going to build discipline. This is sleep, training, focus. You're going to create structure within your days, your weeks, and your months. And you're going to increase your capacity to perform. Okay? This is what you focus on in this stage. Once again, though, if this starts to slip, you got to get back and fix this before you keep focusing on this one. Okay? And I'll hold you accountable, and we can track all this to make sure that we're not slipping. Once again here, you may need to come back to this after 2-3 weeks. There may be more hurt that comes out. Some guys actually plan this in and do this a couple times a week where they let the pain out. You don't forget about the step above. You'd make sure that it's dialed in every step of the way. So now once you got those dialed in, boom, influence returns. Remember how we spoke about influence earlier? Influence returns. She's now open to your influence again. Attraction starts to rebuild naturally. She allows your touch. She flirts. She spends time alone with you. She complies with small requests. She laughs with you again. She pulls close, then pulls back. And she tests to see if you've really changed. This is one of the most important things. You will get tested as a man. This will not be easy. This is why I've created the structure and the program in the way that you have all the support that you need, because it's not going to be easy. You need to understand that her testing you is a natural part of the process of her seeing if you've actually transformed. When she tests you under pressure, she's seeing, hey, is he just changing his behaviors? Or does he not have the right skills? Does he now have the right beliefs? Is he now the right man? Is this actually true? Did he actually transform top to bottom, or is he just changing the behaviors? Okay. So tests are actually good. Tests reveal who you really are. You shouldn't be mad at her for testing you. You should be mad at yourself for not passing the tests, because it means you haven't actually transformed. As influence is returning, you are going to be focusing on restoring trust. To restore trust, you're going to want to be the bowl, which means you're safe, grounded, and steady. Okay? Bowl, meaning like what you eat soup out of. This is something we use in the program. The masculine and the feminine are very different. The easiest way I can explain it to you is the masculine is like the bowl. Okay? A bowl is boring. It's solid. It doesn't move. It's very simple. It's not very flashy. It's just there. It creates structure. It's safe. It's grounded. It's steady. The feminine is like the water within the bowl. Okay? It's up. It's down. It sparkles. It glistens. It could be wild and splash against the sides of the bowl. Your job as the man is to be the bowl. Okay? A lot of my clients use that as a mantra. Okay? If you're in a heated conversation with your wife, just remind yourself, just repeat it. Be the bowl, be the bowl, be the bowl. Very important that you can do that. Another explanation I have here is the man's job when let's say a man and a woman are dancing. The man's job is to create the structure to let the feminine shine, right? You stand there, you hold her arm, and she twirls and does all this stuff. And the feminine is like the beauty of life. The feminine is the excitement. As the masculine, your job is to let the feminine shine. What has probably happened in your relationship is you've not been the bowl. You've not been the right masculine. So she has taken on that role. So that's why she's not as fun. She's kind of wearing the pants in the relationship. She's not able to surrender into her feminine. And we'll show you how to let her do that. Listening deeply, right? Asking open-ended questions. We have all the trainings on here to make sure that your communication is in tip-top shape. Leadership equals listening. Focus on helping her feel good as a wife and mother. That means focusing on making her feel heard, understood, appreciated, and valued. And we show you how to do that. Integrity is king here. Only commit to what you'll always do. Be vigilant with your words and focus on friendship and co-parenting. Notice how you're focusing on friendship and co-parenting here. Were you focused on the relationship here at all? No. Were you focused on the relationship here? No. You're focusing on yourself. So look at the last stage. This is what guys want to do right away. Biggest mistake I see. Open to relationship conversations. You don't get to this point until you've gone through every other stage. What happens if you are trying to have relationship conversations before you've restored trust, before you've had a transformation, is it feels like manipulation to her. It's like you're trying to get her back for you instead of doing the things that you know you need to do, okay? Don't try and force relationship conversations until it's time. Okay, so restoring trust. Now, as you're restoring trust, that's what you're focusing on. This is what she's going to be going through. Emotional buy-in. Look at the first thing. Trust is rebuilding. Pretty straightforward, right? We are focusing on rebuilding trust. What's going to happen for her? Trust is going to start to rebuild. She starts to see a future with you again. She talks about plans, trips, dates. She comes to you emotionally. She asks you for support. She initiates small physical contact. She opens up about her fears. She starts including you in her decisions. She believes that change might be real. As she's in emotional buy-in, you are going to be focusing on reigniting desire, creating polarity plus safety. Okay? Reigniting desire means you're going to make her feel heard, understood, appreciated, valued as a woman and a lover instead of as a mother. You're going to be unpredictable, surprise her. No forced endearments yet. No my loves. You're going to focus on laughter and fun because laughter and fun equals attraction. Touch more with the 90% rule. Go 90% of the way. Let her come the last 10%. Be ready for unexpected fires, emotional or sexual. Stay emotionally steady. Pursue her, but silently. Okay? As you're focusing on this, she's going to start to enter the surrender phase where she fully trusts you again. She feels emotionally safe around you. She initiates affection. She leans into her feminine energy. She laughs more. She wants to be close to you. She texts or calls without a reason. She talks positively about you again, and the connection starts to feel natural. As she's in the surrender phase, now you focus on rebuilding the marriage. Okay? Now that you have her trust, now that she feels safe, now that she's leaned into her feminine again, she's more relaxed, she's laughing more. Now you do these things. Okay? Now she's open to relationship conversations. You can have bigger surprises. Now you can do the fun things you've been wanting to do. Create alignment and a shared vision together as a couple, as a married couple. You communicate and then you trust and let her manage. What that means is now you can share your fears, your insecurities, your doubts, all these different things. You can communicate what you want from the relationship, and then you just trust that she'll handle it. You don't micromanage, you don't pressure, you trust. As you're rebuilding the marriage, you need to know your priorities as a man. Okay, we'll talk about that. And you want to invite her to help contribute. She becomes your coach, right? You guys get into a fight. Still completely normal for a couple to get into a fight or an argument or something happens. You guys have conversations about it. She becomes your coach. Hey, I think you got a little triggered earlier when I mentioned this. You go, yeah, you're right. Like, how could I have handled that better? Okay. And ideally, I don't want you to need a therapist or a marriage counselor or a coach forever. I want to help you, give you the tools, and I'll show you in a second what that looks like, so that you guys within your marriage elevate each other. So you're not relying on a therapist, you're not relying on a coach ever again. Okay? If you do this stuff, okay, you'll get results like these. Okay? So here we have David, very successful lawyer, tried to fix his marriage with love, planning, gifts, and logistics, realized his marriage wasn't missing effort, but emotional leadership, vision, and direction. Was able to support his wife and be her rock during a hard time, rebuilding trust and connection. We have Raj, who said, the moment we started speaking, I felt a new path had begun. The program just fit from the onset, and I was excited to work on myself. Combined with his genuine care for his clients, I saw and felt growth quickly, and my family and friends noticed the significant difference early on and still do. Most critically, he holds me accountable, and it has become like a superpower. Thankful and very excited to keep the growth path going. Okay, we have somebody like Darcy here. Felt like nothing was never good enough for his wife, like he wasn't good enough. Went to family therapy for 14 months before joining us. Every single night, he told me, well, probably 5 days a week, he'd come home from work at 5 o'clock. He and his wife would sit on the couch and they'd have deep, long, drawn-out conversations until like 10 o'clock at night. Rehashing the past, having the same conversations over and over and over again. He was at his wit's end. He didn't know what to do anymore. He joined the program. We were able to tackle the root of the problem within his marriage in just weeks. And Darcy says his wife looks at him like she used to, and their marriage is, as he says, fixed. He comes home to a wife who loves him, adores him. There's no need for those conversations anymore. She trusts him, and she has surrendered. Or Ben, who says, Justin's a phenomenal coach. It's a huge benefit that he is great with the emotional work as well as the business work, which is a winning conversation. In my first 8 months of working with Justin, I experienced 10 years worth of personal growth, change, and healing. We have Jeremy here, whose wife told me he had 2 weeks to move out, went straight to work in the program. After 6 weeks, she canceled the separation and recommitted to working on the marriage. Jeremy has his confidence, his life, and his wife back. We have Eddie here, who healed his core wounds, self-worth, and created internal calm, and is now leading his relationships without fear or exhaustion. We have Garrett, We have Chris. We have Ryan. My experience working with Justin changed my life. We have Joel. Came to us completely broken and lost. Used the Empowered Husband framework to become more emotionally intelligent and emotionally resilient. Restored his marriage and reignited his relationship with his children. We have Carl. We have Zach. Working with Justin changed everything. We have Brad. Marriage was effectively dead. Living in the same house but disconnected. No real communication. His wife was emotionally shut down. We noticed that his wife was forced into both the masculine and feminine roles. He avoided hard conversations and withdrew under pressure. Now he's communicating deeply again. He told me he had a 3-hour conversation over the phone with his wife not long ago. Rebuilding connection in his marriage has done a complete 180, as he said. Over here we have Broden. Not only did he help change my perspective on things in my life that I knew needed change, but was also able to identify areas that I was unaware of were holding me back. We have David. Working with Justin has been one of the most transformative experiences of my life. Before meeting him, I felt stuck in ways I couldn't fully articulate, stressed, anxious, unsure of myself, and not living up to the potential I knew I had. I talked to other coaches and looked into different programs, but nothing really clicked until I connected with Justin. Ben says, a source of clarity and support during a difficult time. Justin came into my life during an incredibly difficult period, and his support was exactly what I needed. He helped me slow down, communicate more effectively, and truly understand my wife's perspective in ways I hadn't been able to do for years. Through his guidance, I gained clarity, patience, and tools that allowed me to approach our conversations with more empathy and intention, which made a meaningful difference during a very challenging time in my life. Okay? And we can keep going here. Okay? So these are the type of results that you can expect when you join us. Now, how do we do this? How does the program work? Well, here are some of the results that you can expect. Okay? Number 1, you can expect sharp self-awareness. You can expect clear insights into your patterns, reactions, and blind spots so you can lead yourself, your relationships, and your life with intention instead of impulse. Number 2 is life balance and well-being, alignment across work, relationships, health, and purpose, all without burnout, chaos, or constantly feeling behind. Number 3 is relationship mastery, the ability to build deep, grounded, resilient relationships where trust, respect, and emotional safety are stable rather than fragile. Once again, this is a skill. Once you learn this, you have it forever. Fewer internal and external conflicts, a structured way to handle pressure, uncertainty, and adversity so life stops feeling reactive and starts feeling navigable. And number 5, a lasting legacy, not just success, but impact. Becoming a man whose growth benefits everyone around him now and long after. So one of the main issues I see with guys that join me, most of them have been to personal therapy or family therapy or counseling or have been in other coaching programs. A lot of them, well, pretty much all of them lack structure, right? There's no structure. And as men, we tend to really thrive when we do have structure, okay? So that's why I focus on a structured 90-day approach. So the first 90 days, we focus on removing the weeds. This means we help you dig out all the internal issues that you're having that are causing you external problems. And we start to help you get laser focused on who you need to become to fix all the problems you're experiencing in your marriage. After that, the next 30 days are focused on reprogramming. This is where we give you the resources, the frameworks, and tasks that actually help you become a better communicator and show up as the best version of you. This is where the rubber meets the road and where we start to implement everything you've been learning about conflict resolution and communication skills. And the final 30 days are all about embodiment. In this final stretch, we're showing you how to integrate this new version of yourself into your everyday life. The version of you that's thinking the right thoughts, saying the right things, and acting in a way that helps transform your marriage entirely. I really want to drive this point home. You are not enrolling into something random, but rather a scientific procedure that is designed explicitly for quick wins and sustainable results. So, how this program works and why it's different. It works because it operates on 3 mechanisms simultaneously. Mechanism 1 is problem-based support. No 2 men are the same, so no 2 men get the same experience. The work adapts to your specific challenges in real time, focusing on what actually moves the needle for you. Very important. Depending on where you're at, what stage you're at, what you're struggling with here in terms of your transformation, that's what we focus on. That's been a huge breakthrough for my clients because you can create massive momentum. You're not getting thrown into a course with hundreds of videos to watch and you're just watching videos and like maybe you get an insight in a video that's like, yeah, I need to work on that right now. Instead, You have sessions with me. You have 24/7 access to me. Every single step of the way, you know what you should be working on. We'll have a session together and I'll go, okay, all right, man, here's where you're at. You're here. I want you to be focusing on this, and this. When it comes to your transformation, this is what you should be focusing on right now. We got to dial this in. We got to make sure that we can, sometimes we role play communication. Sometimes it's accountability. And you also get sent a physical workbook so that all this work ties together. You're going to be assigned specific videos to watch. Those specific videos are going to tell you to go do specific pages of work in the workbook that I sent you. It may be reflection questions. It may be accountability stuff. Sometimes they're just exercises that we've created to help you identify certain things. Mechanism number 2 is multi-medium delivery, which I just spoke about. Real learning is immersive, not passive. The work combines weekly live coaching with targeted training, guided reflections, exercises, and a physical workbook used daily for accountability and insight. Issues are identified in real time and addressed immediately through action and not just information. Mechanism number 3 is repeated exposure. Transformation is built through consistency, not intensity. I work closely with clients over time, reinforcing the right patterns, correcting course in real time, and ensuring change actually sticks. How the program is delivered, the 3 C's. The 3 elements work together to ensure insights turn into action and action turns into lasting change. So you have curriculum, you have coaching, and you have community. Pretty self-explanatory here. All right, I've already said this before in the video, but I want to make sure this is clear. I'm not interested in working with you if your intention is to slap a Band-Aid on your issues. Because when you come in and work with me, I'm rolling up my sleeves and I'm getting all this. I'm 100% committed and I am all in with you on this. So it's really important to me that you are committed to the process. What I mean by that is it's going to take about 3 to 5 hours a week, right? It's a 90-day process. It takes about 3 to 5 hours a week. Now, this isn't all in sessions. Some of it's going to be watching videos, listening to videos. You can listen to them when you're driving. It's going to be journaling. It's going to be holding yourself accountable with the workbook, doing the work that needs to be done there. It's also going to be talking to me, having our sessions together. Okay. So if you're not willing to do that, if you just want a quick tips, tricks, manipulations, go somewhere else. While I offer guidance, insights, and resources, the effort, the drive, and the dedication must stem from you. You are the pivotal element in this growth equation. Men who do this work change permanently. Men who don't keep repeating the same cycles with new information. The end result is men will come in to save their marriage, but leave as the most powerful version of themselves mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. All right, that's it for this video. If you want to book a call with me and transform your marriage and you want some help from me, you can schedule a call down below and we can see if we can help.